YouTubers, and welcome to another Doctor Who episode review. In this week's review I'm going to be talking about Destiny of the Daleks, a story which I haven't seen in a very long time, so I have to say I was really looking forward to watching it because my memories of this story are a bit hazy. I tend to remember bits of it, but not really a lot. Destiny of the Daleks, it's one of these stories where I feel that you have to be in the right mood to watch it, and there are a few stories like that. There are times when I can watch this story and go, it's crap, and other times I can watch it and think, well, actually that wasn't too bad. It is quite a dull, dry sort of story, but it just sort of depends what mood you're in, I suppose. And it's down to a matter of taste, I think, with this, because there are some people out there who I'm sure absolutely love Destiny of the Daleks, and they think it's one of the best Dalek stories ever made. And there are some people out there like me who tend to agree with my overall personal views of it being not that great. But having said that, there are some really good bits about this story if you care to point them out and have a look. For instance, there are lovely little comedy moments with Tom Baker, particularly when he's trapped underneath Boulder. There's funny bits of him. There's funny scenes with him with Davros. There's some really good comedy moments when he pushes the Dalek down the platform and the Dalek blows up. And the Doctor shouts it's his famous line of "bye bye," and the Dalek blows up. So that's all really good. And there's another good joke when the Doctor's up on the high ledge, and the Daleks can't sort of get there. And then the Doctor just remarks, "If you're supposed to be the most superior race in the universe, why don't you try climbing after us? Bye bye." So there are lovely little comedy moments with Tom. There are lovely moments with Tom and the Daleks. There's lovely moments with Tom and Davros. In this, the set design and the directing helps it a lot. The authenticity of the Dalek spacecraft, it looks like a spacecraft. The Dalek dialogue, well, because Terry Nation's the writer of this story, he tends to know how the Daleks work, so he tends to write the Dalek dialogue as best as he can. And it's not only that; it's the challenge of interacting Davros into it as well. So yeah, there's a lot to tackle within this, especially as we're reaching a new point in the history of the Daleks, because we arrive on Skaro and things have changed dramatically. The war with the Thals is over, and probably has been over for a very long time. The Daleks have got a new menace to fight. It's the Morvellans, who try to be as interesting as the Thals rather, and try to be as interesting as the Daleks, but are just not that great. The problem with the Morvellans is they're very boring and unthreatening. It is really hard to take them seriously, because their sole purpose of the story is just to fight the Daleks. Really, there's not much to them to go up on other than that. Their strategics are the fact that they are a robot race and they tend to learn, and by learning they grow stronger. So it's very interesting when the Doctor turns up and they start interacting with things as well. So the Daleks. I'll move on to the Daleks. The Daleks, well, the Daleks in this story, they're not great, unfortunately. Their dialogue is adequate, but then again, it's Terry Nation. He knows how to write the Daleks. He created them. I just think, yeah, the Daleks just were a bit naff in this story, and it doesn't seem to me like a proper Dalek story, if you get my meaning, because I find it very difficult to take the Daleks seriously in this story. So the Daleks' sole mission is the fact that they are losing this war with the Movellans, and so they have to revive their creator Davros so that he can help them build up their numbers, build up their strategics so they can win the war. So, in a way, Davros believes that he can take control of the Daleks when obviously he can't, because seeing as Davros isn't a Dalek, as soon as the Daleks have no further use for him, they will turn on him. It was pointed out very easily and very clearly at the end of Genesis of the Daleks. Seeing as Davros isn't a Dalek, as long as the Daleks can manage without Davros, they'll find a way to get rid of him. So the Doctor and Romana, they land on this planet, which later reveals in the story to be Skaro. Skaro has changed dramatically. I mean, you look at Skaro and it's just this lifeless rock, really. It doesn't appeal to me as being the home planet of the Daleks. It's very strange, especially in the daylight, shots. Take when the Doctor and Romana first arrive, for instance, and you get the landscape shots of the sky and the rocks and everything in the background. Yeah, it is. I do find that quite strange. I think considering the identifying Skaro to be a more believable planet with the doom and gloom and the ash and the clouds and the moody clouds and the grey that was established, which was an established mood in Genesis of the Daleks, in I, Davros, and at the beginning of Asylum of the Daleks, with the doom and gloom clouds and the acid rain falling down. Yeah, I find it quite strange. I found the atmosphere of Skaro in this quite strange. But anyway, there's not really a lot to say about this story other than the fact that it's due to a matter of taste. It's due to a matter of what mood you're in. I mean, I'll point out certain bits that struck my interest. Now, there's Romana and Romana's regeneration. The fact that she can just change her appearance is the same with any other Time Lord. But what I like about this story is that they tend to play a joke on that, especially when she's going through all the other outfits, and she's got a different form for each outfit. That's very light. That's just very lightly comedic and works within setting up the boundaries of the story quite well. I mean, it has nothing to do with the plot, essentially, but it's just something nice to get us warmed up. And most fans tend to go, "Oh, well, she's gone through her regeneration cycle like that." No, she hasn't. It's obviously just Romana choosing what she wants to look like. So that's cleared up. The Daleks themselves are quite interesting and quite exciting. Bearing in mind that they're often in the title, the fact of having the word Dalek or Daleks in the title is a matter of teasing the audience, because they're so looking forward to seeing them, and it's so well brought up within the publicity of it. Yeah, it is. It engages the interest of the viewer because they're so looking forward to seeing them. In terms of Destiny, when they haven't appeared for about 5 years, when they finally do appear after dramatically breaking through glass, they can only tend to repeat the same line. It seemed to me about 16 times when I first watched it. Yeah, and the weird thing is, what they're doing is they're screaming at Romana to keep still, and she is keeping still. It's weird and odd. And then, of course, when they do kidnap Romana and they interrogate her, and Romana is genuinely frightened, and they just sort of say, "Oh, there's nothing left to learn from this. There's nothing left to learn from this prisoner. We'll just get rid of her, push it to the side, and she can just work in the labour camps, picking up rocks." Yeah. Lala Ward's not. I don't tend to think much of Lala Ward's Romana. I don't tend to like her too much. I don't think Lala's acting was up to scratch. I don't think she's a very good actress. Yeah, it's just her interaction within the story and her relationship with Tom. Yeah, don't really seem to like it that much. David Goodison as Davros is an interesting choice, especially seeing as what he's doing is the Michael Wisher thing, and basically was told to do everything that Michael Wisher did. Yeah, he was just doing an entendre of what Michael Wisher ended up doing. I think that's basically because he was told to do that. So I just tend to question what parts of Goodison were there, and to be honest, Davros is a bit an undermined character in this story, considering that Davros gets very little screen time as it is. And there's actually a really crappy scene in this when the Doctor holds Davros prisoner, and the Daleks come to track him down, and they do track him down, and they say, "If you don't let Davros go, we're gonna kill all these hostages. We're gonna kill all these slaves." And I think they kill about 3 or 4 people. The people they do kill tend to look less bothered about being killed than anything else, and they just fall over. It's pathetic. And of course, there is a bit when the Doctor seems very prepared to destroy Davros, especially when he gets clear. Chances are, no matter what he told the Daleks, he was going to blow him up anyway. Some people tend to find that very confusing. Was he going to blow him up or wasn't he? And to me, it was evident that he was obviously going to blow him up, regardless of what he said. The ending seemed pretty rushed, I would say. The ending I never really understood how things tended to go towards its natural conclusion. I mean, there are lovely little action sequences with Daleks firing off and things exploding, but essentially, what was the overall point to Destiny of the Daleks, other than the fact of bringing the Daleks back for dramatic interest? Never really seemed to engage with this story, unfortunately. I don't know if that's maybe to do with the pacing of it or whatever, but yeah, I'm not too keen on this one. If I was to give Destiny a rating, I'd probably give it a 5, because it's not a terrible story, but I've definitely seen a lot better. So 5 seems about par for me. So yes, that's Destiny much for you. That's the views on that's the views on Destiny of the Daleks. What was it all about? Next story. Haven't really decided on what I'm going to review next. Could be Ghostlight, it could be the 10th Planet, it could be the Moon Base, it could be Doctor Who and the Silurians, because they're all stories I've been thinking about watching. Chances are I'll probably end up reviewing one of them, and then after that it's going to be another discussion video. Then after that I'm going to be reviewing The Curse of the Fatal Death, and then that'll be it for reviews for a while, because yeah, just need a break from talking to a camera. So my next review will be one of the stories mentioned, either Ghostlight, 10th Planet, Moonbase, Silurians, one of them. Then after that it will be another discussion video. Then after that will be Curse of the Fatal Death, and then that's it until January. So thank you for watching this review, and I will see you next time for whatever it will be.